All right, let's jump right into this explainer. I want you to picture yourself in a very specific, totally relatable scenario. You're walking down the aisle of a crowded, swaying city bus. It's loud, people are packed in shoulder to shoulder, and your senses are just being completely bombarded. You look up on autopilot just trying to scan for an empty seat, and suddenly, bam, your eyes lock with a total stranger sitting right across from you. Now, as a neuroscientist, I am absolutely obsessed with what happens inside your body in this exact fraction of a second. Because, believe it or not, the physiological cascade that is occurring right beneath your skin is nothing short of extraordinary.
And it raises a really fascinating question. Why does a stranger's gaze trigger such sudden, intense panic? Think about that visceral micro moment on the bus. You lock eyes, you feel the sudden sharp pang in your chest, your stomach drops, and your immediate desperate reaction is to quickly look down at your phone or just stare blankly out the window to escape. Now, for years, you've probably told yourself, oh, I'm just shy, or maybe you assumed you just lack self-confidence. But I am here to tell you that this momentary awkwardness, it isn't a personality flaw at all. It is a highly tuned ancient survival mechanism. In that exact second, your brain triggered a massive red alert to literally save your life. To really get what's happening under the hood here, we have to look at the environment we're operating in today. The modern world forces us to coexist with thousands of strangers every single day. We walk down busy streets, we sit in packed cafes, we ride public transit, and we seamlessly pass by hundreds of people without ever once wondering about their names or their backgrounds. And we've conditioned ourselves to think of this as completely normal, right? But neurologically speaking, this is an impossible catastrophe. Your evolutionary history spans millions of years, and for almost all of that time, being surrounded by completely unknown humans was just about the most dangerous situation imaginable. So, let's break down the actual biology happening in real time. The very instant your eyes meet that stranger's, the visual cue is intercepted by your amygdala. The brilliant neuroscientist Dr. Joseph Ledoux actually discovered that this tiny, deep structure in your temporal lobe acts as a hyper-fast security radar. It never sleeps. It is scanning your surroundings 24/7. So when your eyes meet a stranger's, your amygdala catches it way before your conscious mind even registers their facial features. It immediately orders a massive flood of stress hormones. Your cortisol spikes, your heart starts to race. Instantly, your body has triggered the ancient fight-or-flight response. You are biologically prepping for a jungle encounter. And right there, that is the exact conflict literally tearing you apart on that bus. You've got conscious suppression battling a raging animal instinct. Outwardly, of course, you don't want to fight anyone, and you certainly don't intend to run screaming down the aisle. You just sit there quietly gripping the handrail. But internally, your chemistry is fighting a brutal, all-out war for survival. Your conscious mind is desperately trying to hold a really tight leash on this wild evolutionary instinct that's screaming at you to react to a deadly threat. This massive biological friction is exactly what outwardly manifests as that terrible, uncomfortable feeling we call social anxiety. To understand why our brains are hardwired this way, we have to zoom out a bit to the macroevolutionary scale. Let's talk about a concept from anthropologist Dr. Robin Dunbar. He formulated this brilliant, game-changing idea known as Dunbar's number. Basically, it dictates the absolute maximum limit of stable social relationships that a human brain can efficiently manage without just becoming completely overwhelmed.
And it all boils down to one highly specific number: 150. Your biological brain actually evolved to handle a tribe of exactly 150 people. That's it. That is the ideal size of the social network your nervous system can handle without experiencing constant background stress. Your brain did not evolve for cities of millions, and it certainly didn't evolve for a globally connected internet. It evolved for a very small, very specific circle of familiarity.
Just think about the stark contrast between those two environments. Back in a Stone Age tribe, your group rarely exceeded a few dozen familiar faces. Everyone knew everyone else by name, by voice, maybe even by unique sense. It was incredibly safe and predictable. The appearance of a totally new, unseen face meant only one thing: absolute danger. It meant an invader or maybe a carrier of a deadly new disease. Now, contrast that with the modern city, filled with millions of unknown faces. Because your brain is still desperately clinging to that 150-person safe zone, every single person outside of it that you pass on the street is flagged by your neurology as a potential security anomaly, an anomaly that has to be constantly monitored.
So, how exactly do we monitor all these potential threats so quickly? Well, it's all in the eyes.
Dr. Michael Tomasello highlights this vital, truly fascinating evolutionary concept called shared intentionality. Humans are entirely unique in the animal kingdom because we evolved a wide, highly visible white part of the eye, called the sclera. We developed this incredible feature for a very specific reason, so we could track gaze direction with extreme precision. Your ancestors desperately needed to know exactly where their hunting partners were looking in the dark forest to coordinate attacks or, spot hidden predators. Our eyes are literally designed to broadcast exactly where our attention is focused. But you see, this system has a major flaw. When you're hunting or working together, a gaze has a shared context, right? It's cooperative. But a direct stare from a stranger without that clear shared context, like when you're just sitting on the city bus, totally short-circuits your cooperative brain's interpretive system. A prolonged, direct gaze from a stranger revives the ancient, brutal laws of the animal kingdom. In nature, an intense, direct stare between two strangers is a blatant dominance challenge. It almost always precedes a bloody battle for territory. So when a stranger stares at you, you feel violated, because genetically speaking, you are being challenged to a duel. So how on earth do we cope with this constant neurological assault every time we step outside? We use a brilliant cultural tool called civil inattention. Basically, this is the act of politely pretending not to see each other, just to keep the peace. Modern culture trains us to quickly avert our eyes. When you quickly look away from that stranger on the bus, you aren't showing cowardice at all. You are actually executing a brilliant evolutionary mechanism to avoid unnecessary conflict and immediately drop your internal threat level back down to zero. However, constantly suppressing these deep-seated animal instincts every single time you pass someone drains massive amounts of neural energy from your prefrontal cortex. It's exactly why simply navigating through a crowd leaves you feeling completely, utterly exhausted at the end of the day. Now, this brings us to a really profound irony about our modern digital lives. Social media has essentially taken these strangers from the busy streets and brought them straight into your private, quiet bedroom. Every single day, you watch hundreds of faces look directly into the camera, staring straight into your consciousness. And the problem is, your ancient body cannot fully differentiate between a digital image on a screen and a real, breathing human being standing right in front of you. It treats that glowing screen as a live confrontation, so your brain is constantly receiving chaotic, ambiguous signals that totally overwhelm your security system, resulting in a state of chronic social anxiety, even when you are entirely alone in your room. Let's just slow down for a second and really let this reality sink in. Your awkwardness is just your brain keeping you alive. This relentless digital and social alert system only truly turns off when you achieve total awareness of how your mind actually works. When you finally realize that your sudden panic at a stranger's glance isn't a personal failing, but actually a badge of honor from your ancestors, proving that your hyper-fast security system works flawlessly, man, the self-blame just vanishes. You are not a cold, unbothered social machine. You are a tribal creature, wonderfully and beautifully equipped to protect yourself. Which leaves us with one final thought to wrap up this explainer. The very next time you're walking down the aisle of that crowded, swaying bus, and you automatically look up and lock eyes with a total stranger, and you feel that familiar, sharp sting of adrenaline in your chest, what are you going to do? Will you feel flawed and awkward? Or will you take a deep breath, remember your hyperactive amygdala, remember your 150-person tribe, and visualize your Stone Age ancestors standing right there behind you? Because now you know the truth. You don't have to panic. You can simply smile inwardly at the brilliant protective power of your own survival instinct.